go. That's going to work. All right. Oh, we're good. We're good.
Yay!
Thank you, people.
Yay!
Let's get to it. Good now, good evening, good morning, good day. This is Darrell as a service, and
Hello, this is Daniel,
Daniel as a
and I'm
Glenn.
coming as in Daniel Glenn, yes, and coming to you live from Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, where um, uh, it's hot. I don't really have one for us today. The
Oh no,
whole
hot's fine. Hot's fine. We're hot. We're so hot today that we tried to do something a little different and it kind of fell over.
That's okay.
Needs a
So
bit more practice.
yeah, and I'm excited about episode 102, Daryl. Do you know why?
Um, well, what's the outlook today?
Today, episode 102 is brought to you by Microsoft Outlook and a brief appearance by Microsoft Forms.
Now it's because there's 4 or 5 messages there that are ta-da. You know, we've got so much that we've been working on, and most of our crew are at Microsoft Inspire or on holiday.
Inspire and what's the other one? There's
Oh, ready,
there's
ready.
ready.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. So yeah. You can tell we're going to try and do our best to make this interesting and exciting, but um,
I,
yeah.
I think it's going to be very exciting, Daryl. I don't really like your tone.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that, and we'll talk about what my experiment was going to be. It
Mm,
didn't quite work, and we'll play around
yeah,
with that a bit later.
yeah.
Something to look forward to. But look, we have a major update. Yeah, let's get into this. Here we go. We'll start with that scene to begin with. Major update. Major update, which is all about all about MIME, yes, MIME today for Outlook. So that's actually I think about number 2 in our. No, it's number
We've
1.
talked about this.
We have.
The changes in S-MIME, but wasn't it all for Outlook on the desktop, or what are they calling it now?
Mobile.
Outlook
So
in Windows
it's
before?
been on desktop for a while.
Yeah.
It was on Outlook on Outlook on the web, I think. Yeah, so that's what it's talking about there. And then a bit
Yep.
further up, it's the same thing, but I mean we'll see it when we get to it.
Yeah.
Key thing here is that it's enabling you to use your certificates to authenticate who you are. I've seen
Hmm.
a couple of other IT pros that I communicate with that are using S-MIME. You get that cool little padlock over your name to say this is truly or whoever.
Yeah.
And did you have you ever been through that process, Daniel, where you get a certificate for email?
I have. It's been a while, to be honest. I went through it, and it seemed to be, I don't know, at the time it seemed to be a bit much, but it has been a while since I've done it.
The last time I did it, I think
Hmm.
it was 2008.
Yeah. It's been a while.
There was quite a process to go through and
Hmm.
verify that you are who you say you are, and
Right.
we were a vendor of a SSL certificate like reseller. And the
Okay.
process was that you had to get 2 or 3 different witnesses that would fill out the form, prove who you are, who you say you are, and you had to keep a copy of that on site for those purposes. So there's a whole lot of paperwork way of
Right.
proving that you are who you say you are so that you could get this electronic certificate to attach to your email. Mm.
Right. And it's, I personally, I don't know. I I can see how, if you look at the change from for websites, it used to be only websites where you log in needs to have a certificate, right? I mean, that's basically the way it went. Was now it's generally the normal practice of having a certificate for every website, and using SSL for all website traffic. And now Google, even in the Chrome browser, warns you if you're going to a site that doesn't have a certificate, even though it may just be a regular site that doesn't need a certificate, just like that old GeoCities website, with the construction and the blinking stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I could see how email could be going to that, where eventually we will need to have a certificate for our email authenticating who we are. I just frankly find it very bothersome right now, because, and this will make it better with the Outlook on the Web getting this ability and updating, because when you look at a message from someone who's used it, it has been a inconsistent experience between the desktop and your mobile and the browser, because you couldn't read it. I think you couldn't read it in the browser, and so you had to go to the desktop. I don't know. It was just, I didn't like it at all. And so I think we have to do a better user experience before we start throwing this into, okay, everybody needs to encrypt their email, and say who they are, using this functionality. But I can see us, in the future, it's kind of probably going to be the way it is. I mean, do you think so?
Yeah, well, that's certainly a consideration. Like the it's that extra layer to prove that this message indeed is coming from you. The encryption is the other aspect of the certificate. It keeps it all safe. But yeah, if it's going to be required as a way of trying to cut down on fake emails and spam and stuff like that, then there are industries, of course, that need to take this step, and I think it's good. But it is a hassle to set up.
But don't you think there's going to be a way around this for spoofing and everything else? I mean, this is not the be all end all. This will just be yet another gear in the machine of trying to stop phishing and spam and all that. So, but anyway, I think we'll get there. It's just bothersome, I think, right now for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, MIME as a technology has been around for years. The certificate's been around for years as well. Having that extra layer, it's going to cut down a bunch of the obvious fakes. So then you can start to, if you're an organization that needs to take that level of security, you've probably already gone to that aspect of look out for the security padlock to make sure that it really is our CEO who's sending a message to say, hey, quick, pay this money to this invoice.
Well, and I think the experience in the company, I think, is different than when you're communicating outside the company. In the company, it just works in Office 365. It works well. Outside of the company is where it gets, you have that weird experience between the different interfaces for your email. So anyway, I've belabored the point, but I just think we need a better user experience when working with those emails. Yeah. So hopefully this will help us with the web portion of that.
Yeah. Well, what it means is that you're not, if your standard is that you have to keep everything verified and secure, then that meant your email had to be sent via Outlook because that's where it was supported. But if you can set up that certificate now and Outlook on the web, then means that you can use that second source, and we'll see a bit later that mobile's added to that too. But let's keep moving through this one. Outlook for Windows previews an updated shared calendar model, and when I first read this, I'm like, now is it Outlook for Windows or Outlook for desktop, and what's the difference, and what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here, Daniel?
Well, I agree with you. It can get confusing when we're talking. They're changing the terminology for whatever you install on your desktop, and this is the changes for what you have on your machine, right? Versus your other ways. We were just talking about interfacing with your email. And I think the Outlook for Windows app, this change I think is actually a really cool thing for me with sharing calendars, because sharing calendars has been a feature we've had for a very long time in Outlook, but it's also one that I find in my job when I'm having conversations with customers, one that sometimes they struggle with of sharing calendars and managing that, and what are the levels and all, just that whole experience. So for this to be getting some love, I think is a really good thing. I mean,
Well,
do you share calendars? Do you do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a small but tight knit team, we like to share our availability, so that we know that whoever's working on what, it's something that we can check on, or we know what we might be interrupting if we call someone, or if we're trying to book a time with one of the team members, giving ourselves a buffer. It's handy. Oh, that's drive time. Okay, maybe I can, call you during that time, or potentially, or I can see that this is a meeting, so I'll give you half an hour before I book that other time slot. But this, like, just to clarify, you have Outlook for Desktop, which is your Outlook 2019 now, or Outlook Pro as part of Pro Plus. Then Outlook for Windows is actually referring to the Windows application, as I understand it. So this is the new way that they talk about the UWP apps, right? So like OneNote, for example, is OneNote for Windows versus OneNote 2019. That makes sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. So this is about
I was pausing for the audience to answer. Sorry.
Look, hang on. What did they say? Well, for now we've got drop frames going all over the place. Thank you, YouTube.
Oh, we don't like drop.
So we're kind of.
Oh, we're jittery.
Yeah, we are totally jittery.
I don't like to be jittery. We are having trouble with YouTube. I mean, this is something that we knew we were having issues with earlier. So sorry, peeps.
Absolutely nothing getting through. Brilliant. And I know it's not anyone in my household using Upload. Certainly not the machine struggling. So maybe there's a new game out.
Maybe.
And every YouTube streamer is just hitting that service now, or not. Yeah, I think we're managing to get something through now. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Sorry for the delay there. Looks like there's a few things happening between me and my content distribution point for YouTube. So we'll do our best to keep on rocking. You might get a bit of jitter. But anyway, yes, so Outlook for Windows is what's built into Windows itself. It's not Outlook for Desktop, which we get with Office Pro Plus. This is how I understand it. And it's improving that shared calendar experience. So when you want, as an admin, you have that ability to share calendars on behalf of shared mailboxes and people and the like, then you've still got that. That shared experience too of an individual wanting to share their calendar with someone else, having control of that experience. So it is changing up.
Can we talk about the details in this announcement real quick? And how they're different? So there's two things that just jumped out at me. One is, again, bringing some multimedia into. Now, they don't have the screenshots in this announcement itself, but they have a link to the article and a video. So that's great. Thank you very much. We like our multimedia to better explain what's going on. The second thing I wanted to make sure that I highlighted in this announcement, but also actually in the blog post that you're showing now, is that they've set up a email address that you can send emails to for questions or high-level feedback. And this is not for customer support. This is because you can do that elsewhere, but this is for questions or high-level feedback about this. There's an email address, and it's olk-calendar-preview@microsoft.com. And I think it's down at the bottom of that blog post, but it's at the bottom of this announcement. Right there it is. Scroll up a little bit, and then right above that screenshot there. So just wanted to call that out. I think that's interesting and cool that that they're showing that, making that available. So
I know that one big advantage of the new way of sharing calendars that it's they call it out here, faster and more reliable sync. So that was one thing that if you are sharing a calendar and you're wanting to make sure that you're up to date, then it was a case of opening up Outlook, and it was almost like it was receiving new mail. It would take a while for those events to come down into the calendar and overlay.
Yep.
So that's good.
You know what, Darrell? I'd like to talk about, I don't know. I want a message about Outlook. Maybe can we maybe go to the next message?
Let me see if I can find one. Let me see if I can find one.
Because I really want to.
Previous. Oh, there's one.
Okay,
found it. But it's Outlook. Wonderful. Outlook on iOS.
That's fine. Yeah, just for the heck mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, and just a quick note here too. The Apple event a little ways back. We're going to have iOS for iPhone and iPad or something. So there's now going to be an iPad iOS and an iPhone. So that's going to make these messages fun. Yeah. Does it mean?
Can we not still call it iOS, or is it really will be separate? So,
can we refer to it as called?
But can we refer to it as iOS as the general thing, and then iPad OS and iPhone OS is I don't know.
Let's hope that developing for it is not going to be like when they want to put something out for iPhone, that hopefully it'll be available for iPad as well. Outlook for iOS. There's going to be a new experience with catching up with those files that you are currently working on and discovering those files so that you can attach them to a message if you're on the go and you're sending to people. I've found this is one of those consistent experiences that I'm sure would make you proud, Daniel, when you are working on something and you go to that most recently used list in different places in Office, and you can pick up from where you left off. But being able to do that so that you can share a message with a contact and not have to go through layers and layers of where is this document again?
I agree.
Is really good.
I agree that being able to get to a document, and I shared this story a few weeks back when I was flying and I needed to sign a file. It was like an agreement, then a security agreement or something with a client, and I think that would be. This is another improvement. We got to get stuff and not having to switch back and forth. I think it's an awesome thing, right?
Yeah. And it's supporting Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Office files, files that are stored in SharePoint and OneDrive, therefore also stored in Teams or any of your other Office 365 group experiences. Powered by the graph. Oh, that's the other thing too. It's. I mean, we've had most recently used for a little while, but this is also telling us that these are files that might be interesting to you. So you're getting that discovery experience of files.
It's not
iOS.
Yeah, it's not just the last one you opened. It's we're talking about you're using machine learning here to see files that other people are working on that maybe are shared with you that, hey, you were just, editing the other day and it has been updated again, that kind of experience where it's not just what was recently edited by you or opened. It's, hey, these are files that may be interesting to you. So it's the discover. It's not just recently opened. So it's good.
Yeah, one thing interesting here too is the what do I need to prepare section of this message is usually quite bare. It's usually, you don't have to do anything. We're just turning it on. It's not going to cause you any harm. Just, you might want to adjust your user documentation, which of course you do if you're manually creating it. Don't be silly. If you're using the Learning Pathways tool, then maybe that'll do it for you in that cool site template. Do go check out our interview and discussion panel. I'll put a reference up there to learn more about the Learning Pathway site. But you'll have to update it. Look, this goes into a bit more detail too. It tells you about the feature a bit more and what you should be telling people. Now there's something that we don't usually see. You might want to tell your users something. Here's a starter that you might want to put in that communication.
I love it. And I love this. We have to personalize our communications with our organizations. I get that. But for things that are updating in Office 365, it really would be nice for everyone to be speaking the same language because we're using the same tech. So having us, kind of giving a jump start for that communication with our users, I think is a great thing. To be able to, how do I put this? How do I phrase this? What, answer those kind of questions, I think is a great thing for us to have here at our disposal for this.
One further thing, if you are using Intune and you don't want to have this ability pushed out to, or capability at the iOS level for your people, you can switch this off. So interesting that's called out in this section. What do you need to do to prepare? I guess you could.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I mean, this is what do you do to prepare for the change from the person who's reading this? So I get it that it's here. And this goes in line with, the other updates about machine learning that they've said, well, if you want to turn this off in the graph, you can do. I would like for you to keep this on personally within your organization, but if you need to, there's the instructions. So.
All right. Just changing it up a little, just a little.
Just for one message.
We're switching gears into Microsoft Forms.
Yes.
And we're helping you to make sure that it's not being used as a phishing exercise, automatic phishing detection in Microsoft Forms. So we know what it is: simple, lightweight surveys, quizzes, polls, etc. Forms is going to be a more secure service. It will enable automatic phishing detection to prevent your customer from losing sensitive data to phishing forms.
And I think, just remember this and this example here that it's given is, if your form says password on it, we will, flag that. Well, okay, that's great, but there's other ways around that. So I think we, hopefully it'll be more than that, other than just looking for something that says social security number or password or,
You know what would make sense here is it hooking into the data loss prevention tech, so that it's also looking at all those rules that you've gone to the trouble to create to protect information going between email or going out via chats now, because that's all protected by DLP. So those same algorithms to prevent social security numbers and tax numbers and credit card numbers and all that. That should also be in here too, looking for those sorts of patterns. Maybe we'll see that come.
It'll be awesome. Darrell,
yes.
I'm sorry, but I'm glad we got to talk about forms, but I kind of miss my Outlook.
Well, we do have to get We do have to get more Outlook into this episode. I feel like we need this Outlook cowbell that's like...
Wow, okay.
More
Blue
cowbell?
Oyster. Yeah, right.
Yeah, just to appease our sponsor for this episode, our Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, the home of your email. Wherever you are on the web, on your mobile, on your desktop, and now also in Windows. Well,
and
we're in Windows.
And right.
We're,
and it's almost consistent across all of those platforms.
Yes, working to get you consistent. Cut it with a cheesy smile. Very nice. Outlook on the web, authentication, session management. This one came hot and fresh. Literally, one of the first things I do when I wake up on a Tuesday morning, which is your Monday afternoon, is I check and go, anything new today to talk about before we hit the show. This was not there before I started setting up, and it came in while Daniel and I were talking. So we'll fuddle our way through here, but authentication session management, not session authentication management, because that would be a SAM, not a ASM, allows you to control frequency at which your users are required to enter their credentials. And this is a common complaint when people are using Office 365 and it hasn't been tweaked and set up in the most friendly way for users. Sometimes we go, don't worry about it, just log in when you need to and whenever you're asked. But there are a few things that we can do to reduce that, to trust some machines, to trust where we are if we're connected to our internal environment, to reduce that. And here's yet another method to reduce the number of times that we might need to sign into Outlook. So session lifetime configured to a rolling window of 90 days. Could be good.
And if you want to, change that, you can. Again, this is the only thing I'm going to two things here. One is we're separating. This is talking about authentication session management for Outlook on the web. So are we talking about we're going to have different timeouts depending upon when people are or where people are logging in?
Good point.
Well,
when was the last time you had to sign into Outlook on your mobile or Outlook on the desktop?
Well, I have to change my password, and I think that is more frequent than having the session timeout. So, and that's another conversation. I agree with Microsoft. We shouldn't be forcing password changes. But anyway, I think that was the first point. The second point here was, rats. I missed it. Nope. It's not about this one. It was about the last one. I missed Outlook so much that I forgot to mention something about the forms update.
Oh, well, okay. We're back at forms now.
The thing I wanted to mention is that, the thing I wanted to mention about forms is that you will show up on a potential phishing report, and then administrators are going to see a message in the message center notifications.
Oh.
Office 365 administrators will be informed via daily message center notifications on these potential phishing detection results. So we kind of started talking about this a little bit about more updates in the message center. Well, here's one. We're going to be getting a daily update, and I'm hoping it's if and not. Hopefully, we're not going to get a daily update that says no phishing attempts detected. Congratulations. So hopefully, it's just if there are one or more, we'll get the update. But I wanted to highlight that this is another item that will be showing up in the message center.
Well, we talked about one. Was it last week that would appear? And that was more about privacy. And that there's some messages that will come through that privacy officers, people who are looking after that side of the equation, don't need others to know about, including certain admins in certain roles. And this is another. I wonder where this is going to sit. Like, there's going to be. Well, we know there's going to be an update to the message center, and that there'll be tabs to be able to filter through and see certain things.
We talked about.
looking at a security tab coming in and security major infractions, or I don't know, what would you call it?
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my thing I wanted to mention about forms. Now back to
Okay.
Outlook. I'm done.
Fast forwarding back to Outlook Authenticate. Yeah, well, we kind of said when we needed to, right? It
Right.
means that we don't have to sign in as often.
So Darrell, will you
Yes.
give the audience a 2-minute discourse on what in the world you were trying to do earlier and why we had issues and such?
Yeah. Well, aside from like Suzanne Hunt said, maybe it is the storm that we're experiencing here in New
Yeah,
Zealand.
we
You
can
might
hear it.
probably
Yeah.
hear the rain on the roof. I'm sorry about that.
No,
Just think of it as the thousands of people that are watching a show that are just clapping and going,
applauding.
"Yeah,
Yes.
keep it up, keep it up.
Yes.
We're really happy with what you're doing."
Yes.
No, the I was given early access to LinkedIn Live recently. I know that there's been a few early adopters, and the Collab 365 crew. I think they managed to do a show or two during one of their live events. It was also demonstrated in the SharePoint conference, and there's a service that I looked into, thank you, Mark Jones, who pointed me towards it, called Restream. Right, and the goal here is that we could push our live stream to this service, and then it goes to multiple places. And what I was trying to do was get it to push to our live YouTube event, so that we'd all watch it the way we currently are right now, and I go, "Hello, audience," and it would all work fine. But I could simultaneously push it to the Regarding 365 company page, and look, it looks like it did briefly work. I think at some point here, maybe not. But what we did see was a drop in the service, a whole lot of drop in frames. Maybe that was just YouTube having a glitch at the time. So I think I'll play around with that in my own time. You might see a live event pushed out which has got nothing to do with the show, and it's just me standing there going, does it work? Okay, good. Because it'd be
Like
interesting
normal.
to see.
So that's a normal episode.
Like YouTube as a platform is wide and far-reaching. It's got all sorts of people that watch all sorts of things, and we chose a while ago to standardize on that. We do find also that there's some good engagement with a business audience, and people that are certainly targeted onto using Microsoft 365 are sort of sitting around the LinkedIn space. So I'd like to try and see if we can get that dual streaming, and see if we can get it to come up on the Regarding 365 page. But yeah, that was my experiment earlier. Sorry about that, everyone, but it looks like YouTube was, or at least my distribution point was having some fun and issues earlier anyway.
And so I think we're about done. But announcement, we hopefully will have a guest for next week. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking. And then we'll be doing that. And then I'm in New York City Saturday, from this coming Saturday, for SharePoint Saturday, Office 365 and SharePoint Saturday, New York City. So that will be July 27th. So hope to see you there if you're around.
I've got an event coming up too, which I can help promote. It's another digital workplace conference in Australia. So it's in Sydney. That's going to be the 7th and 8th of August. And yeah, there'll be a few of us there. I think Lorian, Alistair, Tracy, Heather,
Great.
a few others that we know there too. But it's a really good event, and I think I've got to get my act together. I've been given a couple of tickets as a speaker to try and give away and make a competition out of that. Now, we can't provide air travel. We can't provide hotels and stuff like that. Basically, if you can get yourself to Sydney and cover everything else, then I've got a couple of tickets. So
nice.
If you are watching the show and you are able to do that, remember, it's 7th and 8th of August, then reach out and you can grab a ticket. All right. How about that? We're done?
Yes.
Yep. I'm looking forward to walking in this rain today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Get to it.
Got a bit of travel. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all who jumped in and passed comment and enriched our show. You probably did a better job than I did.
No.
But yeah, let's catch you again next week and see if we can get this LinkedIn stream going. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.